Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Nutmeg Nation. I am so excited. I have a family member. Her name is Vanessa Hatcher, and she's in Grenada, and we're cousins, and she's actually moved to Grenada. And so it's important to discuss what the process is like for anyone who is interested in living a more simple life and living in the Caribbean. Hey,
Right. Hey.
Vanessa. So tell me about yourself. What do you do full time? What's your passion?
Wow, my passion. God, I haven't been asked that in a while. I don't know. I think I'm passionate about being a homemaker. I am a housewife right now at this time, and I'm enjoying just, being a homemaker. I think I kind of realized that when we moved to Pennsylvania out in the country, and everything was kind of simple. And, I kind of like the idea of homesteading type thing, I guess. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, like, you have three kids, two of them are younger, right?
Two are younger, and
Mm-hmm.
one, he just turned 28
I can't
a
believe
couple
it.
of weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I'm like, woo, where does the time go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just the other day. I remember, like, just his whole fascination with planes.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what I remember because of his excitement. Like when kids are so excited, like they when they're passionate about something, that's all they want to think about. That's all they talk about. That's it. And,
Yeah. I'll take him down to the airport to watch the
yeah.
airplane land and take off. And so he was always excited about that.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Uncle Chris is
So
a pilot, so he was like, "Oh, I want to fly too."
I know it's the greatest thing. I think I'll always be proud of Christopher because like he's the only. Is he the only pilot in our family? I don't know.
Let me think. As far as I know, is that completely true? I do not know. I mean, there could be someone else with like a private pilot license, but I don't know if there's someone, maybe distant family.
But
Yeah.
our immediate family, like
Yeah.
in terms of like different roles, because we have like nurses and we have our doctor.
Yeah.
A lot of our families in the medical field and like
Yeah. Runs in
yeah.
the blood.
Yeah. So that's why I think it was just like, oh, that's so cool that he flies a plane. But yeah, so I always think it's important to know like you're a homemaker and your focus is your family right now. And before you got to where you are, did you grow up? Where were you born? Were you born in Grenada? Remind me.
Yeah. So I was born in Grenada, and then we left right about maybe a month after I turned 10, and we moved to New York. And I didn't like it very much. There was like kind of a culture shock from Grenada to bam, New York City, and it was okay, but wasn't like my cup of tea. And then we moved to Texas, and we moved near the Houston area, but outside of Houston more. Now back to the country, more of a little country part of in that area, like outside Houston. And so we really enjoyed it there because although it wasn't like Grenada, but we can go outside and play or ride our bicycles. It wasn't a concrete jungle kind of thing like New York. So that's kind of I really enjoyed it there. And so I spent most of my a lot of years in Texas from when did we move to Texas? We actually moved to Texas twice. So I went through fifth grade in New York, moved to Texas, and went through sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade in Texas, part of eighth grade. Then we moved back to New York, and I did eighth grade and
Wow.
part of ninth grade in New York. Wasn't going that
So
well.
why did you move back? Do you remember? Like why did you guys move back to New York?
We moved back to New York because at the time, like the salary from New York to Texas was like a shock for my mom, and it didn't really get any better. And so she's like, I just can't. And so we moved back to New York. And then she quickly realized like we didn't do as well there in New York. So she pretty much said, well, I'm going to have to bite the bullet and go back to Texas. So we ended up going back to Texas like my mid ninth grade. And then I stayed in Texas through, finished high school and college in Texas and part of my adulthood there. Yeah.
Wow. So I think it's in the blood. It's traveling, like the whole lifestyle. Like I mean, it's like when you're trying to find your way. Because I moved around a lot too, so I can relate to you. Like we moved a lot in Toronto, like, and I've moved a lot myself. So yeah.
You just kind of have to find that place that kind of jives with you,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because
yeah.
home is where the heart is. And if you're not finding that peace, it's like, oh, it's time to go, or it's just not
Right.
working out. Yeah.
The right neighbor or right neighborhood,
Hmm.
or, if
Yeah.
you don't feel comfortable coming home, it's like, okay, time to go.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
find somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that I mean, we're both born in Grenada, you obviously stayed a lot longer. Do you find like living in Grenada for the time that you did kind of grounded you in a way? Like now that you're back in Grenada, did you see yourself coming back and living in Grenada? You know?
Yeah, I actually wanted to move to Grenada even before I got married. And then once Todd and I got together, I'm like, that's going to be a bit of a culture shock for him. And so I decided to pump the brakes on that. And I'm like, I'm going to kind of put that on the back burner until I think that he may be ready for that, or if that would ever happen. But I knew like right away in the beginning of our marriage, like that wouldn't bode well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it'll take him a while. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know him but more than anyone else, right? So it's one of those things where you just have to gauge, like, it's like when you're married, it's a whole different thing. I know you don't identify as Texan per se, but the Texas accent will never go away. I don't think it will. You know what I mean? It's just part of who you
I
are.
kind of think of myself as Texan somewhat, because like
Somewhat,
sometimes I'm
right?
like, don't I love going back to Texas too. I do feel like a sense of home when I go
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Like, and my kids, they like it too. I took them and they're like, can we go back to Texas, Mom? Because I'm like, this is my middle school and that's my high school and that's where I went to college. And so, I mean,
Where did you
like
go to college?
San
You
Jacinto
know?
College in
Mm-hmm.
they have a couple campuses, but it's a junior college, and it was San Jacinto College and the Central Campus, and then the North Campus as well. So they have one in Pasadena and one in Houston itself. Like, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I even missed I'm a foodie, so like I miss the food. I definitely go back for the food.
Okay, so tell me, what's your favorite food? Like, what's your favorite like restaurant or place? Because we always used to, when we were visiting you, it was like I love that we went to Sonic to try the fries. You know, there's so many different places to eat in Texas, right? So,
Oh gosh. So I'm gonna go with. I mean, I'm gonna go with something that I don't find a lot of places. And okay, so the Mexican food, I just love the Mexican food in Texas because, well, Tex-Mex, and there's a lot of Mexican. So I'd say the taquerias over there.
oh my
I like
goodness.
that. But and then they have like the bakeries. God, they have that the kolaches, but it's not like kolaches that you'll find like your typical Polish kolaches. No, it's kolaches how they do it Texas style. So it's different than what like maybe Polish would call, your typical Polish kolache. So Texas has like ham and cheese, and then they have like sausage and cheese. And of course, what would it, wouldn't be Texas without like jalapenos in the mix of everything. And so that used to be like one of my favorite things that I missed so much was getting up on a Saturday morning and going down to the bakery and go get a kolache. Like,
Oh wow.
and yeah. And then they have like non-chain donut places, and it's just a good Texas donut. I don't know what to say. That's about it. I couldn't even describe it, but that was like one of my favorite places. So I guess the Mexican food, God, you can go get like what they call snow cone, but from the Mexican place again, you go, I don't want to get out raspas or whatever. And it's just a snow cone and they just make it the best to me. Like I think everything's better in Texas.
Right, right. It's all about like the Tex-Mex. I don't know. We didn't try a lot of Tex-Mex stuff. We went to KFC, Jack in the
Jack in the Box.
Box,
Yeah, Jack in the
Sonic,
Box.
and where else did you guys take us? We went to this other place. Yeah, but I guess we didn't have a good Texas meal. We didn't have like your typical. I know I like TGIF. You know what? It's so overwhelming and there's a lot to do when you're in Texas. So I guess we did a little bit of this, a little bit of that at that time,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
there's a lot. Oh, and Cajun food. Oh my goodness, can't forget Cajun because Louisiana's right there, like from Houston. So Cajun food, like boudin and crawfish étouffée, and mostly boudin and
You're a foodie. I
blue
love it.
sausage, barbecue. God, you cannot even the like.
Oh my gosh, where's the best place for those? Like, I mean, for those like in Texas or want to go to Texas, it sounds like if you're in Texas, you got to get some barbecue
It's
ribs or
been quite
something.
a while, so I cannot say where.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
it's usually, I will say for when I was there, it would usually be that hole in the wall. You might not be able to sit in there, but it would be that hole in the wall where people, where you would wonder, well, are they really serving food there? But it would
Yeah.
smell really good. And so those are the places you would go and get like the best barbecue. It's like your small mom and pop place that they would have awesome barbecue and just can't beat it. Like they used to have these places that would make these loaded barbecue potatoes and they would like have barbecue chicken. Then they would have a baked potato and they would put like barbecue chicken on it. And then they would chop up some brisket and put that on top and then chop up some pulled pork or something and put that on top with bacon and onions and chives and cheese. What? That was awesome.
Girl, I'm salivating right now. Like I'm getting hungry. Like just listening to you talk about food. Let's change the topic. Oh my goodness. This is like we'll definitely have to go down. Yes, go circle back to the food because oh my God. But you're talking about Texas. You know that thing, I left my heart in Texas. Do you feel that's true? Did you leave your heart in Texas?
Did I leave my heart in Texas?
Oh my God, did you leave your home in Texas? Like there's a part of you that still, has,
There's a part of me that still has a thing for Texas, but I always kind of felt this, well, Grenada too, So
yeah.
my big heart was here in Grenada too. But yeah, I do. I miss Texas. When I go back to live, I don't know. That was one of the things we were going to do. We actually did try to move back after we got married. I was going to move back to Texas because I'm like, Florida's getting kind of, I want to move back to Texas. And he was all for it. I got a job and he did not get the job he wanted. So we kind of went, okay. So I turned down my position and we moved. That's when we left Tallahassee and moved to Palm Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we kind of did a ixnay on the Texas thing and stayed in Florida, but we moved more to Central Florida as opposed to North Florida. Yeah.
Wow.
So I would say the two places that have my heart though is Texas and Pennsylvania. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pennsylvania, most people might think of Philly.
Right.
Not Philly. No. Not at all. Okay. No, we were out in the sticks in the country, like in central Pennsylvania, Amish country, a little, maybe about 45 minutes from Amish country. So yeah, we were out in the sticks. So in the summer, it reminded me a lot of Grenada, like, the more narrow roads, you have to wait on the car to come across the bridge. And then you go real mountainous hills and curves, hairpin turns, that kind of stuff. That part of Pennsylvania that we lived in and farms everywhere. So yeah, it reminded me a lot. I feel like it prepared me to move to Grenada, honestly, because when I drive there, it kind of reminds me of here. So I feel like as far as driving, it prepared me for Grenada, like the roads and such.
You think it did? Like, aren't the roads a little bit bigger than the ones in Grenada? Like, I can never get over the roads. Like, I mean, Grenada, that's the one thing, like, you notice it when you're driving to the country, especially how narrow the roads are. And then the
So,
British style driving too. But yeah. Oh,
okay, the opposite side, no. But we had freeways, of course, in Pennsylvania and the area we were. But when you get to like in the back country, like the roads we drove and stuff, there, like we lived in a little town. When I tell you a little town, okay, first Christmas we were there. Bring, not Christmas Eve, the day before Christmas Eve. Hey, Miss Hatcher. Yes, hello. You have a package here and we're going to be closing. It's probably a Christmas gifts, so you might want to come get that, and just come knock the door. We're at lunch anyway, but knock the door. Like most post office don't close for lunch, but like they do in Grenada, like they well used to, I should say, things used to close for about an hour, and so there the post office closed for about an hour. And so you go knock the back door because they're at lunch and they told you to come and you get your package. And like everybody knows each other in this town that we lived in. And so there were very narrow roads and like a couple of the bridges, you'd have to wait for the person to pass so you could go because two cars can't fit at the same time. And then like at the end of the year, Christmas, everyone goes to like this place called the Children's Lake, and the bank passes out cookies and the fire station passes out hot chocolate, and everybody looks at the town Christmas tree being lit, and Santa comes up in his little boat down the lake, and yeah, and then everyone has a good time and they go home. We all do fireworks together out there. It was a small town, so it was like a lot like Grenada where everyone kind of know each other, you know?
yeah. No, I understand because it's like when you watch those Christmas movies, like hearing you talk about it, it's like a lot of those Christmas movies where they are in a small town. And then like even last night, I watched a movie and this man, he used to put the tree out in front of his house.
Yeah.
As a reminder, because he lost contact with his son. Like the wife took the kid with her, and then he's told his son, like, always look out for the Christmas tree. So every year he left a tree out, and then they did that. But yeah, it's like that small town thing where I guess he was so miserable, and then one of the neighbors decided to light the tree up. You know what I mean? So hearing you say that, it's like full circle.
Yeah,
where
it was
everybody
like
knows
a
you.
Hallmark movie. Honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you go to the bank and you're like, hey, and you call their name and they call your name and you're like, oh, where are the girls today? Oh, they're not here. They're off and da da da. And yeah, it's just.
Did you like that? Did you like everyone knowing your name? Like, it's like a episode of Cheers where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, where everybody knows your name. Yeah. I won't say everybody, but like in places, the post office, banks, certain restaurants, not all, depends on how frequently you went. Or, yeah, you kind of, even if they didn't know your name, you knew their face and yay, type thing. I mean, so much so where we went down to the neighbors to get eggs or, well, not the neighbors, but, some people down the road. They raise chickens. We'd get our eggs from them. If I grew extra herbs, I'd take some down to her. And she was like, oh, well, since you gave me some herbs, you can have some eggs or things like that. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Hey, can I have more, Miss Hatcher? Can I have more? Can I get a cup of sugar?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is so amazing though. Yeah. I feel like you've had quite the adventure to getting to where you are now. Cause I always say, this is my saying, it's not where you're going, it's where you came from. And I feel like Grenada, even though it's a smaller island, a small community of people, but it brings so many people together. And I think that's why, I left so young, and even people now, like I've had one or two people ask me why I created this show. And I feel like I want as many people to know about Grenada because it's a beautiful place when you're there and the people are so humble. based on like my experiences with talking to people and hearing their story, like hearing your story too. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you have like some great memories of Grenada. Like, were your parents, like, we didn't talk about that, but your mom and your dad, did they meet in Grenada? Like, did you
Yeah,
grow up with both of them in Grenada? Like, I
yeah.
knew.
So they met in Grenada, got married in Grenada, had my brother and I, and then, Grenada is pretty small. So when they sort of were wanting to go their separate ways, my mom kind of was like, well, Grenada's kind of small. And so she really went her separate way and
Yeah.
went to the United States. Yeah. So, yeah. And so
Hmm.
my dad was here for a while, and then he eventually made his way to New York. But I think he always wanted to make his way back because I don't know if he came with the idea like that it would be the same as Grenada, but from the way he spoke, it was kind of a rude awakening, the difference in people, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not what he expected. So
Do you feel like you and your brother like were really close growing up and like brother and sister are, in that
yeah,
way?
always, always,
Mm-hmm.
always, always.
Mm-hmm.
God talked a lot. We have our ups and downs like all siblings do, but pretty much always,
Yeah.
I would say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Me and Vanessa are cousins because my grandmother, like my on my mom's side, so like my grandmother's sister.
Sister,
Yeah.
yeah, is my
Is,
mom.
there we go.
And so we share. Oh, so yeah, your great grandmother will be my grandmother. Yeah,
Nez, yeah, I
yeah,
know.
no.
Yeah. Yeah. What a family tree when they started working on that. I was like, oh my goodness, my great grandfather was very busy. You know?
Yes, he was. Oh,
And like,
grandpa
and
was
then
busy.
yeah, he was. Oh my goodness. I'm just like when I went to the reunion, I'm like, all these people are related somehow. Like how?
Yeah.
Like
I asked
Vanessa
this
is
one
like,
lady, and she
right?
told me, I said, how
Yeah.
are we related? And she goes, you know what? I would explain, but it's actually the family is a pumpkin vine, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just take that. Yeah, I'll take that.
It really is. I mean, I wish I had met her when I had to do a family tree, because like, and they always ask you to do that. And I'm like, well, I don't even know. Cause it's just like, even on my dad's side, like I'm trying to figure some of that out. And I'm like, ooh, this is getting too complicated,
Yeah,
right?
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Caribbean family. But okay.
Yeah.
So you've had this journey. And so I guess what I have to get back to is just the process of getting to Grenada, right? So you're an American citizen and you also have Grenadian citizenship, so dual.
Right.
And when you started the process, tell me how it worked. Like, was it hard getting all the
Not really
paperwork?
hard.
Like,
It's more of for me, I think it was more of a mental, when are you going to take that next step? And that was the hardest thing to just say, that's what we're going to do, because we would come down and we'll go, oh God, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do that. And it was always a never ending waiting for the perfect everything to line up. And this last time we were just like, you know what? We're just going to do it. We're just going to stay. But the process to that, before that, so my husband, of course, he's not a Grenadian citizen. He's a U.S. citizen. And then so my children, they also did not have a Grenada passport. So I ended up I wanted to make sure that they all had a Grenada passport, like their citizenship, to be able to move. Well, they could move here without it, but I just preferred that they had it. And so for the girls, it was easier to get them a passport. Darian was a little harder because he's over 18. So he would have to do a bunch of blood tests and such, but still be able to get his citizenship through me as his mom. The girls, since they were pretty young, they before required the blood test. They did all the blood tests and such. And then the lady from the consulate called and said, you know what? They don't have to do that anymore. So she had me get all the documents up. It's like if you, the
so
consulate.
just the facts. So for those like looking at the paperwork side, if you're not a Grenadian citizen, you have to get a Grenadian passport. Is that what you're saying? Like all that
No,
paper? No? Oh,
no.
I think I
So if
misunderstood. What?
you want to move to Grenada, you can move to Grenada, but you would just have to keep renewing like a visa or whatever, depending on where you're from.
Like a work visa. Yeah, because most people
Yeah,
just do that. Like, but yeah, but you have to have a job, right? And
right. But I
and
don't
then
know
your work
the
visa. Yeah.
entire logistics of it. And then they also have the Citizen by Investment program. And we didn't go that route, but I don't know too. I know it's like
Just
you
to
have to.
simplify things, though, you were doing it in a way so that it would make it easier for you to move and not have to keep renewing like your visa every 6 months, right?
Right, for the kids and my husband. So that's why I did that,
Okay. Okay.
And so school, everything, it would just be simpler if everyone was a citizen as well. It's kind of like me getting my citizenship in the US. It would just made everything so much more simple. And so that's why we did that. And so with the girls, it's not hard. You just simply call the embassy, not the consulate. I call the embassy in Washington.
Yeah, I know that's what it is in Washington. Yeah, in the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The
they have a
Grenadian
consulate in Miami, and then they have, I
Grenadian
think they have
embassy.
embassy or a consulate in New York, but they have an embassy in DC, and they're very helpful there. They send you, if you can't find the forms online, which they are online, they'll still email it to you and say, this is what you need. That's what you need to do. These are the steps. Da, 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 da. It's pretty idiot proof. And they walked me through everything. And so they're like, just walk into the office when you get to Grenada with everything filled out in hand. Whatever you need notarize it before you get there. And just here's my package. And that's what we did. And within a few days, we had the girl's passport. And because I had everything done. And then as far as Todd, for him, the process is a little longer. He had to get like a reference letter as far as his character and such from someone in the US. And so he did that. And we filed his paperwork for his citizenship in December. And by the next April, he had it, his citizenship.
The next April, so like a full year, like over a year?
No.
What? Oh.
December, so like the end of the year. And then so then you had, it was right before Christmas. And then January, February, March, April. So like 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah,
it is like I think they did say it's not too long of a process as long as you're not living a life of crime, right?
Right.
Clean record. Like, do they do like a record check? Like, is it that serious?
They do a check. I believe they do a check. That's what takes so long. It's like they make sure everything is, on the up and up.
Yeah. When did you meet Todd? Did you meet is it early 2000s? So is it like, how long have you guys been married?
God, this year we've been married 18 years.
I know. I was wondering if it was like up to 20 yet. Because I was like, I remember me and my sister Chrisanne first came to visit you and your mom in Texas. Like we spent the summer there. Like it was like 6 weeks. And then the next time I came to visit you, you were like engaged to get married. Like you and Todd were already like an item.
You came one time. You guys came when I was in that apartment in Florida. Remember?
What do you mean?
You came before that. You came a little bit before that at the apartment in Florida. Yeah. That's around the time Todd and I met that time.
Oh, okay.
So we've known each other for like 4 years. We kind of like talked for a little bit and then kind of went on our own separate ways, lost each other's number. And then it's just weird how we got back together.
It was meant to be. It was meant to be.
How
did you guys get a hold of each other again?
So prayers, literal prayers.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I was, I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready to settle down. I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, what's going on with you? Why do you always you don't stay in a relationship? And I realized, kind of like the runaway bride. I feel like I was always running away. Like if I even thought someone would do something wrong, like it was like after my whole deal with Darian's dad, I was like gone. Goodbye. Nope. And so I realized like I had to stop doing that because I would never settle down if I didn't stop running. And so I kind of had that talk with myself, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready to settle down. So went to bed that night, and I had a nice long prayer and a nice chat. And I'm like, God and ancestors, whoever's listening, I am ready. And I'm like, I remember saying to myself too, I'm like, I don't do well with hints and parables. I literally said that. And I'm like, throw this man in my lap. Whoever this man is supposed to be that I'm meant to be with, throw him in my lap because I don't do well with hints and parables. No lie, the very next day, my phone rings and it's Todd.
Wow.
Yeah.
My heart was like right in that story that Vanessa, I'm telling you, you guys, when I get you in the hot seat, you guys tell me these amazing stories. I can't believe that. Like there is still hope for me. Like, you know what I mean? Hearing you say that, because I'm just like, I feel like in every stage of our lives, like when we have that moment of clarity, we're like,
yeah,
what do I need to do now? Like I need to focus. I need to, just hearing you say that, oh my gosh, you have to read this book. My friend referred it to me. I'm going to if I can afford to, I'm going to share this book with a lot of people. It's called Conversations with God. And it's an amazing book. Like I started reading, I'm not done, but it's so I'm always talking to people and I feel like I was supposed to talk to my mentor, and he's the one that told me to read this book. He's like, Carlene, this is my favorite book. You have to read it. And I got it.
Conversations is called Conversations with God?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in 5-book series, but I started the first one, and just hearing you say that,
kicker.
Yeah, that conversation you had. Yeah.
Yeah. The kicker part was that day, Todd was telling me he was working in corrections at the time, and he went into the chapel with a couple of the inmates. And so he sat at the back and he was kind of like, I'm ready to settle down, type thing. And he just didn't know, what the next step was. And he said he went home that day and he was looking for something in the closet. And he said, this box tipped over. And he said his old Nextel phone just tumbled out on the floor in front of him. And he says, I wonder if that girl's Vanessa's phone number is still in this phone. That's what he thought about when the Nextel phone tumbled out. And so that is why he called me. A box accidentally fell, the phone flew out, and he called me.
He had your number still.
It was still stored in the phone. But what are the odds? I say, fling him in my lap. I can't deal with hints. He's in the chapel going, yeah, I'm ready to settle down. And then he's looking for something, a box tip over, and bam, this old phone flies out. He boots it up and my number's still in it. And so the person he thought about was me, and he called me, and the rest is history.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Yep. I love that story. That's a beautiful story. Ooh, that was beautiful. Oh my gosh. I was right there with you. I just saw you. It's just like I was feeling the emotion with that. Oh my, that was powerful. I love that. Oh my gosh.
So prayers work.
Yes, they do. Yes. Yeah. I think a lot of people, sometimes there's all these things. I feel like your story just made me think of, okay, I got to share this one story. And then I know it's getting late, so we're going to wrap it up, but to be continued. So I went to work hearing your story about just conversations with God. This is a story about paying it forward. And I'm always I always try and help people if I can. And I went to the hair store, Vanessa, and I had no money to buy any product for my hair. I only went there to buy hair, this hairspray or whatever. And I was in the hair room, and there was this girl there, and I was just talking to her because I don't know, I always have a hard time choosing what style I'm going to do next, or what extension I'm going to put in my hair, whatever. And she's like, oh, it just speaks to me. She's like, whatever I feel, that's what I get. I'm like, really? It's that easy? Like, I'm like, it's not like that for me. Like, you should see me. I'm like trying on different ones. And she's just like, oh, what do you, I'm like, so she ended up choosing this really nice one. I'm like, oh, that's so nice. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, she's like, just choose the style you want. I'm going to get it for you. I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
Did I hear that right? First time ever.
Wow.
She literally bought me the style I'm wearing right now, Vanessa. I was like, bless your heart. I was like, literally, she's like, hurry up, just choose it now, and then we're getting the line. I was like, because I was like, did I hear that? No way.
Wow.
Her name is Shay, and I swear she just came from, like, she was a blessing. After work, she just made my day. I couldn't believe it. I was like, and I gave her like a drink because I just had finished work and I bought two drinks, right? And I was just like, wow, I couldn't believe it, Vanessa. Like, I was just like, every time you think there's like, you lose hope inside of people, something like that happens. And I'm just like, I have to, like, I mean, I'll pay it forward. I did it one way this week, but not to that extent, but I will do it because that was just like unbelievable. And so, yeah, people are amazing. Yeah, you'll be surprised.
I'm a believer in paying it forward. And a lot of times you think the hope is gone, but then someone somewhere somehow surprise you, you know?
Yeah. And like, and your prayer just like, it just rang his phone. Like, it was just like happened. Like, you were ready. How old were you when you said that? Like, you were at that point in your life?
32, I want to say.
Yeah.
132. Yeah.
I guess it's when you're ready, like that clarity. I think it wasn't that, like, we all have different stages in our life where we're, okay, I'm ready now. I'm ready to.
Yeah. I was pretty much like, okay, I'm ready. I understood like my issues. And so I did. I told him, I'm like, listen, I'm probably going to try to leave you. I'm probably going to conjure up something to say that this is not working out. I'm like, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Like, really talk some sense into my head. And so he's like, okay. I'm like, I'm for real. This is my issue. And I figured it out. And I'm just letting you know, I'm probably going to try to go away. And don't let me do that. And so he was very patient and he did not. I tried. And he was like, you know, you remember we had this conversation. You're doing it. You're doing it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I am, aren't I? Yeah, I am. Okay. All right. You know.
Wow. I love it. I love it. That's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful thing, you know, conversation. Like, it's just like he heard your prayer. You know? Yeah.
I remember Darian and Jamal's sister, Darian's cousin. They were in the car when he rang. And I'm like, after I hung up from him, I'm like, what? God, you work so fast. This is like not even a whole 24 hours. I was like, what are you talking about?
Wow. It wasn't even a full day? Are you? What?
No, it was like that night I prayed. And the very next day, during the day, with a ring-a-ding-a-ding, I'm like, wow, you work fast. I literally said that.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I guess you're a firm believer. Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. I'm in shock. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. I'm like, wow, the power of prayer. Like,
prayers.
Every time. Yeah.
Prayers and meditation.
Thank you for listening to Nutmeg Nation with Carleen Humphrey.